My name is Darren Aldridge. That's a D-A-R-R-E-N-A-L-D-R-I-D-G-E.
Perfect. What happened that day?
That day, it's kind of hazy actually. I mean, it wasn't real clear to me how it went down. It went down fast. It was like one moment I'm falling asleep after, partying pretty hard for like a day and a half, drinking a lot, and we were partying pretty hard. And I just felt like I just fell asleep, but I guess I might have been asleep for like 45 minutes to an hour, according to the girls. And the next thing you know, I hear bam, 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 come out, right? And I thought I heard law enforcement, what I didn't hear was Kern County Sheriff's Department, right? And so I'm panicking because I'd already had 2 or 3 attempts at burglaries in my grandmother's backyard and in her garage area and the next door neighbor. And so they had put lights and cameras to try to catch whoever was trying to break in, and I was already kind of like on point for something like this to happen. And just because I'm hearing law enforcement to me doesn't mean that that's law enforcement. So I had her dial 911 on the cell phone. I said, dial 911. Call 911 right now, find out who that is out there trying to rip our door off, right? Because they were trying to force their way in. And she called, and at the same time, Tabby was on the internet getting online on her cell phone. They were both on their cell phones trying to find out who was out there. Then the door ripped open. And when the door ripped open, that's when a round got fired through the roof. And the people who were ripping the door open.
A round got fired by you or by them?
By me, through the roof.
Wow.
All right, a warning shot to stay out. Whoever was coming in, stay out. I didn't want a bunch of people with guns or with a dog or with whatever to rush in while I got 2 girls in this little confined space. There could have been all kinds of accidents that could have happened real fast. So I wanted everybody to back up. Just everybody slow down, back up, stop, slow down. Let me get my mind straight. Let me figure out what's going on. I was panicking, I was scared. Right? I'm paranoid anyways. I mean, I've been diagnosed as bipolar, paranoid, schizophrenic, and I am paranoid. And the drugs and alcohol don't help at all, especially after 3 days up on Molly, meth, and whiskey, and you're coming down, and then all of a sudden your door's getting ripped off your trailer. You know what I mean? And so I panicked pretty hard. I fired a warning round. They quit, whoever it was quit trying to come through the door. I told them that get the feds here and I'll come out. Get federal officers here that I know, whether it would have been my probation officer, Julie Martin, or whether it would have been some other federal officer that I've seen, or even Bob Stevenson, you know, the sheriff that I know, or Santoro from ISU, you know, retired. Somebody I know, a face that I recognize, even Zimmerman. If Commander Zimmerman would have been there and I would have heard his voice, I would have known these are people that I know, now I can surrender, and I'm not going to be shot. I have a big fear of being shot. I have a big fear of being bitten by dogs. I didn't want to have a dog put on me, and I didn't want to be shot. So I made them stop until I felt safe. And then I sent out Tabby when it was safe. She wanted to go out. She said, let me go, let me go. I said, I'm afraid to let you go. Something could happen to you. I said, wait a little bit longer until the media gets back with us. And as soon as she was with the media on her cell phone, she said, okay, they're here, the media's here. I said, okay, tell them you're coming out the bathroom window. Because that's the one window, you know, that I knew she could get out. And I have a clear view of her getting out, but nobody could shoot through there trying to get a shot at me and hit her on accident or Susan on accident. Plus no dogs coming through that window, it's up too high. They would have had to pick the dog up. Well, I guess a dog could climb up there, they're trained to do those kind of things. But I got her out, and as soon as I talked to her, heard her voice on the phone and knew she was safe, then I got Susan out. Then I lit a Marlboro cigarette, and I tried to smoke it. I never finished it because a tear gas container came through the window. And when the container came through the window, I shut the door that the container was in, locked. I basically shut the container into the bathroom, but the tear gas, it's made where it goes underneath the doors anyways and still comes up. Then I turned 2 fans on it, and I had a gas mask. So I put the gas mask on. but when I did, I ripped the bottom part of it off, so it wasn't really working. So I got a couple more drags off my cigarettes, and my eyes watered up, and I put the cigarette out, and I told him, I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. Just give me a second, because I had to take all of the stuff off me, make sure there's no weapons anywhere, you know, no knife on my side, no loaded guns anywhere that's going to hurt somebody. Nothing. I made sure there was nothing that could hurt anybody before I left. And then I crawled out and surrendered.
Why would you not surrender to law enforcement? Did you know that they were law enforcement officers?
No, I did not. Not
so this whole time you had no idea?
I had never seen a uniform or badge at all at that point. I had no way to see outside. I had no cameras. All my windows are blacked out to keep the heat from, you know, it was summertime. This is just ending now. It's just becoming wintertime. And I had a really small air conditioner. So what I did was I blacked out all my windows with black t-shirts. You know what I mean? It looked kind of cool from the inside because you got all these patterns, you know, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, SoCal t-shirts, all these t-shirts. That looks like a t-shirt shop, right? But in reality, it's extra insulation, and it keeps the sunlight out, and it keeps it cooler inside my little teeny trailer, just a little travel trailer, right? And so I couldn't see outside. I didn't know who was out there. And this is not the first time that someone has said law enforcement to get inside of a room and put everybody on the ground and disarm them and then zip tie them and rob them or rape them or hurt them. You know, those things do happen. And, you know, I've had threats from several people because I'm the type of guy that when a girl's in trouble in the neighborhood or a kid, they come to me. And they come to me because they know they can't go to the cops because then they're a rat. And then the whole neighborhood ostracizes them. They come to me because they know if they come to me, I'll go take care of the problem. I will address it. I will talk to the guy and tell him, look, if you're touching this kid or if you're hurting this girl and this turns out to be right, the best thing you could do is go fast and as far away as possible before we find out that they're telling the truth. Because if you don't, we're going to handle you, period. And I've got that reputation. So I get a lot of people calling and coming to me. I have a lot of that type of thing going on. And just because someone says they're law enforcement doesn't mean, to me, that's law enforcement coming. That could be AMA, Aryan Brotherhood, it could be Southsiders, it could be Norteños, it could be skinheads, it could be some crazed ex-boyfriend just wanting to get in to see if that's his girlfriend in the trailer sleeping or to get at me. I don't know, I'm paranoid of those kind of things. You know what I mean? So until I know for sure that the media is there and the whole world's watching, where people got to act right and they're going to follow the rules and the guidelines and I'm not going to get shot, I'm not coming out. And they know that because I've been in a situation like that one time before. They know if they come soft at me and there's just two of them and they knock on the door and say, get out here, we want to talk to you, I'm going to come out there. Within 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to be out there like when Deputy Fox arrested me. Right? I walked right out, he put his handcuffs on me, then he went and tore my house up for 45 minutes, all right? But when they come at me hard and scare me, I corner up, I get in a corner, I freeze, I don't want to come out. You know what I mean? And just like the first standoff that I had, it terrified me. That dog scared I didn't want to get chewed up by that dog. I had a broken leg and I had the other leg in a splint. That's how that standoff happened. That's when I fired 2 rounds through an air conditioner with an SKS, and I blew a ceiling fan off with a Kimber 45 Ultra Carry. I never pointed a muzzle downrange, ever, at anybody to target them. I mean, when I went to North High School, we trained in marksmanship. I took that course. I was trained by a Marine infantryman, a rifleman, on how to fire in 3 different positions with a rifle and hit my target, because then we fired live .22 long rifle ammunition underneath the high school cafeteria. We had a rifle range. And we had 2 Marines, a colonel and a staff sergeant, that taught us how to fire and fire correctly. They taught us that gun safety is to know your weapon, you know.
So you admit you were not sober when this happened?
No, I was definitely just waking up from a binge when this happened. So I don't see how I could be sober when I'd been up 3 days drinking and drugging.
So let's talk about the charges that they filed against you. You've already been arraigned, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of them, felon in possession of a firearm, I would assume?
Yep.
Do you plead guilty to that?
I'm definitely not saying I'm not guilty.
Okay. What's the main one that you think you're you're innocent?
Well, I'm definitely innocent on any attempted murder charges. All right, 8 attempted murder charges, that is, to me, that's not just frivolous, it's almost laughable. What, did I have a magic bullet or something? I fired 5 rounds, warning shots, all through the roof at an angle that you'd have to be 15 or 16 feet tall just to even get clipped by one of them. And one of those 5 rounds can get 2 or 3 people? I'm not understanding how I get 8 attempted murder charges. First off, I never attempted to murder anybody. I never attempted to even wound anybody. So where is this 8 attempted murder charges coming from?
So I was out there the day this happened. I was standing out there for a few hours just kind of waiting to see how this would end. They kept us pretty far back. And it seemed like, you know, we were following you on Facebook. We saw the posts you were making.
Mm-hmm.
Why were you posting on Facebook? Because to us it looked like a cry for attention, was it?
It was definitely a cry for attention. I was terrified. I wanted some help. I wanted my people, my family, my friends. You know, I wanted them to tell me, hey, calm down, it's going to be all right. I wanted to be reassured that I was going to live and it was going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Friends and family seemed freaked out.
They were freaked out because they were scared that I was going to die. I was scared I was going to die. I didn't want to come out of there. I thought, I'm dead. These guys think I'm shooting at them. I'm not shooting at them, but they're trained. Their training obviously kicks in. Shots fired. Officer needs assistance. They're going to be ready to whatever threat to neutralize that threat. So it's not a threat to the community or to them, right?
It seemed like to most people that you were about to commit suicide by cop.
No. Suicide by cop would have been me coming out with my spurs on and a 6 gun to my side, you know, acting like some wild cowboy, and they would have code zeroed me, just domed me. I mean, those 5.56, they're no joke. And you get hit in the neck or the head, all body function ceases to exist immediately.
How do you feel that, you know, your family had to go through this and see these posts? And I saw one of the comments was...
I feel horrible. I feel that the only people that were victimized that day were the people that loved me. I victimized my loved ones, and I really feel ashamed of that. I feel a lot of shame for that. Everybody that loves me, my friends and family, they got hurt. I put them through it that day. I mean, sure, the deputies had to be out there in Kevlar and sweat a little bit, and they had to pull out all their tools and stretch their legs, and that was uncomfortable. But my family, they had to go through the worst of all. They had to go through the doubt that I was going to survive. They had to go through the thought that they were going to lose me that day, that moment, at any moment. They had to live through that. And still to this day, they have to live through maybe never seeing me again as a free man. Because I have to go through the state, all these charges, and then I have to go through the federal charges afterwards, which is, you know, it's like a dual sovereignty thing. You know, you do the time for one, and you think, okay, I'm done with my time, just like my last time. I did the time for the shotgun. I'm on my way out of North Kern Delano, and here's 2 U.S. Marshals. Now I got to go to federal prison for the same shotgun. So I did time again for the same shotgun. Then I just beat a charge because it wasn't my gun. I didn't have the second gun, wasn't. And I beat this charge, and then the feds still want to give me time, but the Bureau of Prisons didn't allow it. And so I got out, and if I wouldn't have got out, I actually would still be incarcerated at this moment. I wouldn't be getting out for a couple more weeks. I had 6 more months on the federal time. But they let me out 6 months early, and they cut off 2 years of probation. So not only was I not on probation and not on parole, but the warrant they had to search my my grandmother's premises to look for me or my trailer, it was 2 days old. That warrant was for 2 days prior to that, which I wasn't even there then. So I don't understand how that warrant's even valid. I mean, it seems to me like I've had all kinds of constitutional rights violated in the last 2 weeks, to tell you the truth. And I'm not some John Gotti. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a pimp. I'm not a child molester. I'm not some underworld boss, you know. I don't have a chop shop. I don't manufacture machine guns or make bombs or anything else. I mean, sure, I got a great imagination, and I will use whatever I can verbally to defend myself like a shield, you know, against certain types of people. And Facebook is one of the ways that I kind of defend myself. You know, I put a certain persona out there. But come on, it's Facebook. You got people that weigh 300 pounds putting a picture of themselves out there with a 29-inch waist and 22-inch arms. You know what I mean? So you never really know what you're dealing with. You could be thinking you're talking to a beautiful 18-year-old girl and it's a 50-year-old man. You know what I mean? It's Facebook.
Let's talk about some of your Facebook posts. Hours before any officers knocked on your door, the same officers that say that you shot at them, you posted, "Knock on my door, I'll knock back with bullets."
Never, that post was never posted by me.
But how can you expect to post that, have them knock on your door, and not receive these charges?
I couldn't expect anything other than that, but I never posted that. There's several people that have my Facebook post code. It's easy to get into my Facebook. If you look, the last time that I was incarcerated, they brought a year's worth of my Facebook, almost a year, into court as evidence, okay? I'm on a phone that I gotta call collect or have somebody accept my call. From that phone, if they go onto my Facebook to make a post, that means they have access to my Facebook. That means they know the code to get onto my Facebook. There is at least 20, if not more people that have the code to get on my Facebook.
So you're saying you posted all these messages during the standoff, but the one post that you made...
I never posted any message during that standoff. I never had a phone in my hand. Those messages that got posted during that standoff were 2 girls that were sitting inside the trailer posting messages. All right? I was trying to tell them what I wanted them to post, but from what I tell you, and you as a scared female post, or you as a female that's not scared post, there could be a variance in how it's posted, how the words are emphasized, where the periods and where the exclamation points go. It can change drastically in just a few words.
Did you do that intentionally?
What intentionally?
Have them post for you?
I had them post because I was busy looking at the front door waiting to be murdered. Seriously. I wanted to be between them and that door, so when they came through that door, if bullets came through that door or a dog came through that door, it got to me, not to them. And so I had them behind me against the wall. I thought they were the safest. I had their feet off the ground. I said, keep your feet off the ground, stay right here, stay right there. Don't move, stay right there. And don't get anywhere where they can see you through a window, because you couldn't see through the windows.
So who posted that post, "Knock on my door and I'll knock back with bullets"? And what did that mean at the time?
And I don't think that was exactly how I worded it. I worded, it was something like, tear off, or I forget, really, I really don't remember. You got to remember, there was still a lot of alcohol, and there was a lot of juice going through me at that time. You know what I mean? I had a lot of alcohol. I was drinking wine during the standoff. I busted a top of a bottle of wine that 1987 Merlot, California, one of the expensive bottles I had in the trailer. I had to rip the wax off the top and push her finger to push the thing down because I was thirsty. And so I'm down at wine and chewing up Klonopin just to try to stay calm and not have a freaking heart attack. You know, and I was looking for my half a joint that I had around there just to try to calm down even more. I was stressed out. I mean, it's pretty stressful when you know you got a SWAT team out there and there's already been a shot fired. That's a stressful situation.
After you were put in handcuffs and led away, and all that happened, we heard explosives, something being detonated that was left behind. What was that?
That was them detonating. They have their own charge that they put up against if they think you have an explosive or an explosive device. They put a charge against it. They detonate their charge. If you do have an explosive, it will be a secondary detonation. It will set your explosive off. That way it renders that explosive not threatening to their bomb experts or anybody around. What you heard go off was their explosive, making sure that there was not another explosive. Because I had told them that there was a paint can in there that had fertilizer in it, right? And the fertilizer was mixed with kerosene, okay? I told them that, I was mixing that, but to make that, it was several stages away from ever being able to be used as an explosive.
As this is all going on, why did you not ask to see a badge during this 5-hour standoff?
Because I wasn't trying to stick my head out anywhere. And at this point, I already know there's badges there at this point. I know that this law enforcement, all right? Because the way the tactics are going down, now I know they're cops. And I want the girls out of there. And I'm talking to them and I'm telling them the girls are gonna come out, just give me a second. I'm terrified at this point. You know, I know that my life is forfeit at the one little mistake and I'm dead, and I know it. Okay, so I'm trying to keep the girls safe first and out of there, and then I'm trying to get out of there safely.
What's your relationship with Tabby?
She's a good friend of mine. They're both like sisters. The only relationship I have with both of those females is they're like sisters. Both of them had problems with men in their life. They both came to me to talk to me about those problems, and you know, basically protection and advice. And I gave it to him. And Tabitha is one of
them or your girlfriend?
No. And Tabitha is one of the bravest young women I've ever met. And as far as I'm concerned, Susan Cox has more character and integrity than most of the men that I've known in my life.
We talked a little bit. You brought up the SWAT standoff in 2006.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is it the last one you were involved in?
Yes.
It seems very similar.
It was very similar. I was on narcotics and alcohol. I was injured. I had just gotten out of the hospital. I was going through the same kind of things I was going through this time. I was under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress financially, a lot of stress physically and mentally, a lot of emotional, dark place in my life. And then I got pushed in a corner. And when I'm pushed in a corner and I'm depressed and I'm like that, I always do the same thing. I turn to fight. Now, I don't come out trying to hurt people. I just tell everybody, it's like growling. You know, it's like, don't come in. You know what I mean? Don't come further. Just leave me right here until I can figure out what I'm doing.
So then why does this keep happening to you? It seems like you're trying to get them to play by your rules, but obviously they want.
I obviously have some mental issues that need to be addressed, and I need to be not self-medicating with alcohol and methamphetamine and Molly and ecstasy. I need to be medicating with what they give me. And if I stay on my meds and I continue to see like a parolee outpatient clinic counselor, I'm sure that nothing like this would ever happen again. But I'm just too smart for my own good, I guess, because when I see the parolee outpatient counselors, I do all the things they want me to. I go out and I find the job and I report in and I fill out all my paperwork, and they finally say, okay, you're okay. If you don't want to see us no more, you don't have to, but we think that you should still keep seeing us. And I always say, no, I'm good. I don't want to take those pills. I don't want to have to come and check in and, you know, stand in line with all the other people that people think are crazy. But you know what? I need to. I mean, this right here, it was the eye-opener. Even at the age I am now, I'm not too old to admit that I need help. And I've been needing help for quite some time. I just haven't accepted it. I've been too proud and too arrogant and too much of an alpha male to admit that I got some problems.
Can one of us go over here and change this shot real quickly? Is that okay?
Yeah.
You want to do it, or just do a two-shot? How have you been able to contact Susan since you've been in here? She came and visited? Or?
She came and visited. I saw her only for a couple of minutes, and then I sent her back out. It was too emotional for me because I knew that I had put her in harm's way, and I have a lot of love and respect for her, and I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look her in the eyes because she's really been there for me. She didn't even want to leave. She thought if she left, that I would be killed, and she didn't want to leave my side because she was trying to keep me alive.
She said something about an issue with your public defender.
Yeah, I fired my public defender immediately as soon as I saw her. Miss Stone, she seems like a really nice young lady, but she didn't want to listen to what I had to say, and I told her I'm going to defend myself.
What's her name?
Tiffany Stone, I think. Yes, seemed like a really nice individual and probably pretty proficient at her what she does, but I'll defend myself before I'll have her defend me.
How do you think that's going to go?
Me defending myself? However it's it's meant to go is how it'll go, but I will defend myself. I mean, it's in God's hands, not mine. All I'm going to do is tell the truth.
And there wasn't anything in particular you didn't like about her? You just...
No, nothing at all I didn't like about her. I just didn't have a sense that she was going to be what... Look, I'm not trying to go on the stand and not tell things like tell half-truths or tell not the truths. I'm going to tell my story when I'm on the stand. And I'm going all the way to jury trial, and I'm going to tell the jury exactly what happened, because I know what happened that day. I'm sober now, I'm on my medication, and I know what I did. I know what happened.
So the person I'm talking to right now, the person I'm speaking to right now, how is that different than the person who was holed up in that trailer?
Because you're speaking to a person right now who is in the moment, in total reality of this moment. I realize who I am, who you are, where I am, and what's going on.
What charges do you think you're going to be able to get yourself out of?
Well, I know that none of the attempted murder charges are going to stick.
What are the other ones?
The other ones are felon in possession of a firearm, discharging a firearm inside of inhabited dwelling, into an inhabited dwelling, even though I was the inhabitant of the dwelling. That charge is going to be one of the charges. And felon or firing a firearm while intoxicated or under the influence of narcotics, which is a federal offense. And those are the charges that I know are going to stick. And I'm not denying those. I mean, here I am on TV telling the jury and the county, you know, I know what I did wrong. Why I did it was beyond my control. I couldn't stop myself from doing it. This is the second time it's happened. I couldn't stop myself the first time it happened from doing it. I could stop myself from hurting people. That's why the rounds went through the roof.
So you know you're going to be serving some time?
I know I'm going to serve some time somewhere, yes.
How much, do you know how much time you're going to be facing?
Yeah, I'm either going to face however long it takes them to fix me, or I'm going to face the rest of my life. That's how much time I'm facing.
When you're in this situation, I know it's hard. I'm sure it wasn't the first thing on your mind, but don't you just want to stop, you know, going into prison?
I wanted to stop so bad you don't even know. I hate prison. I hate the whole system. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a rapist. I'm not a gangbanger. I'm not the type of person that likes to go to prison. I'm a survivalist. When I get there, I got to do what I got to do to survive, because I want to get out and I want to see my family. So in a place like this, you look around, there's nothing soft. Everything's cold, everything's hard, and everything's unforgiving. And you have to become like your surroundings to survive. And that hurts, because you have to become callous. You have to become cold, hard, and unforgiving if you're going to survive. Or else you're not going to walk out. You're going to be victimized. All right? So you become cold, hard, and unforgiving, and you try to not think of what's out there, your loved ones, and Christmases, and birthdays, and your loved ones that are passing away because of their age, or they're growing up and graduating because of their ages change, and you're not there for that. You can't think of that because it hurts too much. So, you know, you tell yourself you're not a dentist, you're not working with fillings. And you shut those feelings down, and you become like your surroundings. You become cold, you become hard, and you become unforgiving. Then you get out, and you have to revert back to a normal human being, which is almost impossible. You know what I mean? You try to be where, oh yeah, it's all hugs and smiles, but it scars you emotionally, and it scars you inside, and it scars you for life. And then if you're put in a situation where you know that you stepped back into the trap because you went for the bait, and now the chain's around your ankle, and you know you're going to be put back in a cage, yeah, you turn snarling. You don't want to go easily. You don't want to go back. And that's what happened to me twice in my life. And both times I was under immense pressure from financial strain of either going through a divorce or bankruptcy, or at one time, the first one was going through both, a divorce and a bankruptcy. And the second time, I was going through splitting up with somebody I loved, and I got back into narcotics, back into my addiction. And then here we are. Here we are with my life forfeited one more time.
How old are your kids?
One's 28, one just turned 13. So my youngest daughter is just starting her junior high school days, and my oldest daughter just had my youngest grandson, who's named after me, Darren Aldridge Ramirez, a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed little boy that I got to hold, and I got to smell his little baby hair and kiss him on the side of his face a couple times, and I love him. I mean, I love being a grandfather. But I doubt that I'll get to hold him again until he's probably big enough to hold me.
Both daughters.
Both daughters.
What's your 13-year-old daughter going through right now?
I don't know. I know it's got to be bad. I just want her to know I love her, and none of this is her fault at all. I mean, she's the perfect daughter. I mean, literally the perfect daughter. Both my daughters are perfect. One was a BPD explorer, an ROTC cadet in the Marine Corps, and she was a nurse for the elderly in-home care. And the other daughter is a little gymnast, you know what I mean, and she's an Aquarian. She loves riding horses, and her horses are her love and joy. They're just perfect. They're perfect kids. And it's nothing to do with me, because I've been gone all their life. It's their moms. They got some really good moms.
Is there anything I missed? Anything you want to add?
No, just one more thing. I like to apologize to the community and to all law enforcement for my shenanigans, my problems, and anything that I caused that was uncomfortable or in any way had an adverse effect on them that day.
How much do you think that one message that you say you didn't post is going to play a factor in this trial? The knock on my door, I'll knock back with bullets.
Well, it sounds like something out of a movie, so it'll probably play a pretty big factor in it. Because people like to glamorize and emphasize on those type of things. But you got to remember, you're talking about a secondhand message from alcohol and drug-addled, trapped, cornered individual.
I think we're good, unless there's anything you wanted to add.
Nothing. Unless I could just say, I love my mom and family, and add that and leave it at that.